Debt, fear, relationships, the children, your health, work. When you want to give up and you need courage to continue, take heart and stay tuned as RJ Jackson writes her signature message of hope on your heart. You don't have to live where you're dying, and you don't have to die where you're living. Like every show of Conversations on Courage, you'll be informed, inspired, and encouraged to find the courage you need to succeed at home, work, and in your business. Get your pen and paper. You'll want to take notes. And now, your host, RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver.
Hello, beautiful. I'm your friend, RJ Jackson, your master encourager, accountability coach, speaker for your next event, and you're down to earth. I'm listening. Tell it like it is. I love you, girl, friend. Yep, that's me. Welcome to the conversation. This is a show for women who dare to be bold and courageous, women who live life unapologetically. This is a show where you can find the courage you need in order to succeed. This is episode 1 of Conversations on Courage. It's the one you'll want to listen to over and over again. It's the one you'll share with your friends. Matter of fact, go ahead. Why don't you do that right now? Why don't you show your sister friend that you care about her and you want her to succeed? Go ahead and share the show by hitting the share button right now. After all, sharing is caring. On today's show, we promise to fill your cup with courage one sip at a time. We're going to provide you with success strategies, inspiration, and purposeful conversation. I just need you to know I'm not here because I have nothing better to do. I'm here because I want you to do better in everything you do. I want you to live your best life. So I'm here for you. Thank you for being here. What else are we going to do while we're together? Well, we're going to respond to your questions. You know, the ones you had the courage to ask out loud on our Facebook group. Girl, I'm working on it too. Oh, and by the way, if you're new and you're not a part of our group, we invite you to join us today on Facebook, where you will find a safe place to be you, authentically you, and meaningful relationships with women just like you. We'll also share in your story, and we will provide you with a life-giving experience. And, of course, before we end, we'll talk to our featured guest. Our featured guest this week is the amazing April Mahoney. She's a blog talk star radio personality of On the Edge. She's a winner of numerous radio and print ad contests. She's an author of 3 books. She is the founder of A Good Person's Production. She started writing poetry at the age of 8, and now you can find her internationally in the Library of Poetry and Anthology. You are going to want to take notes. When I say you're going to want to take notes, listen, that's not a cliche. The guests I bring you are top-notch guests. They're phenomenal. They have experience. They have purpose. You're going to want to take notes. So go ahead, get your pen and paper, and call a friend. Tell her that April Mahoney is on Conversations on Courage. Today's episode is brought to you by Worldwide Women Speakers of worldwidewomenspeakers.com.
Whether you are looking to encourage, educate, inspire, or motivate, hiring a worldwide women speaker is the perfect way to wow your audience. With such a wide range of talented speakers to choose from, finding the right person can be a bit challenging. That's why we are here to help you. We have the right speaker for your conference, training, and women's event. Contact us today at worldwidewomenspeakers.com. That's www.worldwidewomenspeakers.com.
Stay tuned. Coming up next, RJ brings her special guest to the table for more authentic and down-to-earth conversations on courage.
April, welcome to the table. Welcome, beautiful. We're just honored to have you here. How you doing?
Girl, I told you I'm exceptional. I can't complain about a cotton-picking thing. Nothing.
Girl, and that you are. April, share your story with us. How did you get where you are, and where are you these days?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, RJ. I really appreciate you, and I honor you and value the work that you're doing. To be a communicator and to be a facilitator is not an easy task, especially in the current climate, but I thank you so much for having me on the show. Where did my story begin? Oh, I guess it started when I was about 6 or 7 years old. My parents realized that I had a reading challenge and that I could not hear sounds phonetically, like the PH and the Y, and, so it was a problem for me learning how to read. And so when I started to read, I was taught whole language, so more memorization of words than actually breaking them down phonetically. So my stepfather, wonderful guy, he turned me on to Dr. Seuss and, Cat in the Hat and all that good stuff, and I started rhyming, and it started to make sense, and I could hear the sounds, and I could connect them with other words, and next thing he says, okay, so now I want to challenge you. I want you to start writing, and I started writing. He says, okay, now, bring those words together, and started creating poetry. Well, I don't know how many people remember Write On Magazine, but I started writing to Write On Magazine and entering my poems in their contest. Next thing I know, I look in the magazine and I'm being featured. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it. And then after that, I started entering print contests and radio jingle contests, winning, getting checks in the mail. I was like, oh, this is great. So on my life list and my vision board, because I've been creating vision boards since about the same time, 5 or 6 years old, I had put on there that I wanted to write a book. Well, here I am. Several years later, I've written 3 books, so 10,000 copies of my books right out of the trunk of my car. So the hustle is real, is true, and I always tell authors that, if you have a book, keep selling it until the day that you die, because it's brand new information to the person who's never opened the pages. From there, a dear friend of mine said, you know what, you're a trained orator and public speaker. Why don't you join me on my nationally syndicated radio shows? And I was like, all right, well, let's do this. And when I heard my voice, RJ, and I got the responses to the questions and the dialogue and, going back and forth, and then I was getting comments from people that were listening in, I knew I had arrived. I said, oh, there's something to this radio thing. But what I really found was my niche was in podcasting, because podcasting is very, very different. And as a result of the podcast, I have created a listenership of over 24,000 worldwide, everywhere from Sweden to South Central L.A. Over 220 episodes. We cover everything from soup to nuts. I don't do politics and I don't do celebrity gossip, but I feature art, entertainment, science, research. I even have 6th graders on my show because I want to hear and gauge the pulse of what's going on with the young people. And I just really am in my element right now. I'm at the top of my game. I've got a waiting list for people to be on my show. I'm really proud of it, what I'm able to do, how I'm able to engage people on my show and really have them, much like you, come, stand in their truth, talk about their product, their service, their mission, their cause. And when people go to a podcast, they're looking for that. They're looking for a vibe. They're looking for a host. They're looking for a synergy, something they connect to. They want to be there. They go there. It's not like just regular radio where you get whatever's on the dial unless you're tuned in at a specific time. But a podcast is very unique. And so, again, the things that you do, encouraging and motivating women, that's powerful. And I try to do the same thing on a much broader, wider scale. That's where I'm at.
We promised the people we was going to serve them a sip of courage. Girl, you don't feel the cup. It's overflowing. It's running into tomorrow. I have received so many nuggets from your authentic truth and from you sharing your story. I'm like, I want to go way back in your story to talk about how creative your stepdad was and saying we're going to think outside the box and we're going to create something exceptional here. And I just want to encourage our listeners to do the same thing in life. Think outside the box. Forget it. Just tear the box up.
I got one even better. Don't even do a box. Don't even do a box. Create your own thing. Don't put yourself in. Don't incumbent yourself into anything. Just be a free spirit for a minute. I don't know how long that'll last, but be yourself for a minute. But do it. Right.
But do it because you never know what will come out of it. Just like at the age of 8, what came out of your stepdad being creative was an 8-year-old entrepreneur. Bam.
Right.
8 years old, getting checks in the mail.
Yeah.
People listening right now talking about, well, how do I get a check in the mail?
Well,
but they keep doing the same thing, right?
Exactly. And what they have to do is they have to structure it backwards. Don't look for the check in the mail. Look at the outcome. Already see yourself in your glory. Already see yourself standing in front of an audience of thousands. Already see yourself, in the restaurateur, and your restaurant is full. See the outcome. And then work on the method. Look at your resources next. Who do I know that can help me bring this to fruition? Who do I know that's on Team RJ or who's on Team April? Who is it that is a risk taker? What do I need to make this come to fruition? And then the third step is the revenue. It can't help but fall in line. It will come. Believe me. I'm a witness. I'm a manifester. It will come. But I want you to see your end destination first. That's what's important.
Start with the end in mind.
That's right. That's right.
10,000 copies is where you started, and the end was to get rid of all of them out of your trunk.
Girl,
and
but and again, I don't want to mislead anybody. My books have been in print since 2004. But again, like I said, they still selling the Bible and the Torah. Okay. So the information is brand new to the person who's never opened it, and I'm excited about it. Everywhere I go, I donate copies to the local libraries. Internationally, my books are all around the world. When they pull up their international author index, there I am by a mere donation. So people need to be excited and engaged. Have that book in the back of their car like they got that spare tire.
You're listening to Conversations on Courage with your host, RJ Jackson, the Courage Giver. Quick, call your friends and invite them to listen in.
So let's talk about what you just said, because I'm telling you, my cup seriously is overflowing, but I need more. Because you just said, look, I don't want to mislead anybody. My book has been in print since 2004. Seriously, don't you believe too often we give up too quickly because it's not happening overnight? Like,
oh, sure.
Okay, it didn't take you overnight, but you kept going.
As long as I've got breath. I told them, I said, they're going to have to make room in the casket for the, or should I say the urn, because I'm going to be cremated, but make room for additional ashes for my book. I'm taking it with me. That, you've given birth to something. You've given life to it. It doesn't just stop at the point of delivery. It's an ongoing process. You have to nurture it. You have to love it. Just because you don't see that revenue and the #1 New York Times bestseller, don't become disenchanted by that. That should be your motivation to do more, to get your book in more people's hands. People think small, and I'm a big, enormous dreamer. Sometimes I can't even make room for the dreams that I dream. And that's what I wanted people to do, is I want them to dream really big. And then whatever you get from that is going to be far exceeding your expectations, because you didn't even expect that from the get-go. So keep doing it.
Let's talk a little bit about your podcast. I know that you are the host of the podcast On the Edge, and you call your listeners brains. I need to know more about that.
It's very deliberate. You know, number one, I call them brains because I'm speaking to smart people with the brain. But I also want to deposit information in the place where they edit, they filter, they recall, and they process their information. That's in the brain. That's where I want to leave it. That's where I want people to think about what is coming through and what I'm delivering in 20 or 25 minutes to them and helping my guests craft is to really deposit something in their brain. Now, whether they agree or they agree to disagree is irrelevant. You cannot make an informed decision, RJ, unless you have complete information. That's both sides of the spectrum because there is value on both sides or there would not be two sides. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct.
Okay, so people need to do that. And it takes, as your show says, and is duly noted, courage. You know, this ain't for chumps. You have to be bold, you have to be firm, and you have to stand in your convictions. Everybody is not going to agree with you, and that's okay. Could you imagine if everybody agreed with everything that we said? It'd be a hot mess.
Mess.
You need an opposing opinion, and you need to be open enough and big enough to receive that and have that conversation. Edit and filter what applies to you. You know, that's like when they say, folks, are you at church or are you in church? You know, you're editing and filtering. What is important to you in your life or what applies to you? Or what are you open to explore? That takes courage.
So the question is, got courage? Because you're definitely going to need it.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to your shows. I love the one where you had the guests come on and talk about what bugs you, what irritates you, what gets under your skin, and how at the end the listeners discover, well, that's what's in you. That's a problem you're having within yourself, and you're looking at it through other people. And so very informative shows. Thank you for challenging us to use our brains, and more importantly, to giving us information to help us do just what you said, dream big. Because you're right, too often we dream too small.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'll tell you a quick little story. I had a wonderful meditation, and in my meditation, God calls me baby. And he says, baby, I've got something for you. He says, but I need you to open your arms real wide. He says, because you're not going to be able to receive all of this at one time. He said, but before I give it to you, I need for you to change your level of influence, and I need you to change your circle of influence because you are saturated. I was like, really? Well, I got to thinking. I was like, you know, when you marketing to people, it's the same old 200 people on the social media. When you have an event, it's the same 200 people that you send the invitation to. When you can't fill a room, it's the same 200 people that's not showing up. So what did I do? I joined a women's drum circle. And, RJ, it took me to another level. My chakra was wiggling and jiggling for weeks. And when I came back, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, you know, God has given his baby something. What am I going to do with it? So I joined a networking group way on the other side of town. I ain't know none of them ladies, none of them. But I was looking cute. Girl, I paid my money. I walked up in there, and I talked to myself the entire time. I manifested what was going to happen to me. I'm going to make great contacts. I'm going to make some money, yada, yada. This is going to be a great experience. It took me 20 minutes to get there. When I got there, RJ, and I opened the door, I thought I had walked into a beehive. Oh, honey, come here, honey. Sit here, honey. Can I do this for you, honey? It was incredible. It was incredible. Then the keynote speaker, I get up and I give my spiel. I tell her how I get there. I tell her my dreams and my hopes. She turns the audience over to me. This woman gets $1,200 to be on a webinar with her. She's not even in the room, and she gets $1,200. She turned that entire audience over to me and told everybody that they needed to meet me, that they needed to connect with me, that they needed to be on the show with me. I'm telling you, I was cute when I got there. I wasn't cute when I left. Girl, the eyelashes was coming off, big old ugly cry. I was overwhelmed. And I tell this story and I share this very personal experience because people need to, number one, get out of their own way. Okay, have the courage to move. Even if it's in a backwards direction, sometimes you got to go backwards before you can thrust forward. Change your circle and level of influence. Don't be hanging on with the same old hanger-ons because they get tired of you and you get tired of them. And when it's no longer productive, be it emotionally, financially, spiritually, holistically, in any capacity in your life, then you need to shift. It's okay to get rid of some people. Absolutely fine. You're making room for plenty of more. And also, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try to do something different. You know, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again, but at least try it. And manifest your dreams. What do you really want? You know, the challenge that people have, RJ, is that they don't even know what they want. They just want something. You know, just give me something, just any old thing. Okay, well, you know, I'll just settle for this. No, you can't settle. You need to have a blueprint, just like you need directions to, you know, Los Angeles. You need to have some sort of direction and some sort of roadmap in your life, something to grab hold to, something to turn around and look back at and say, ooh, I lost my way, but here, I wrote it down. Here's the direction. This is where I need to go. This is where I need to be. This is where I want to be. And don't be afraid of that. And then if you get there, then decide where your next destination is going to be. Do not become complacent. Do not become stale. You have to be fluid. You got to roll like a river. It's just got to keep running because life is not over until it's over. And you got a strong testimony on that. You know, you went through something very traumatic, and look at you. Here you are hosting a radio show, interviewing guests, and asking them to have courage. So, again, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I have to tell you the truth. I've been more than inspired. I've been influenced to take action as soon as we are finished talking. And I want to say to those of you who are listening, I told you this was episode number 1, the one you were going to listen to over and over and over again. April, I have some work to do myself, and my courage is about to get into a higher gear. So thank you for your influence today as you share those words of wisdom to inspire and encourage our heart today. Girl,
You know, again, a lot of people are out there and they're packaging hype, you know, but it's how you apply it. And are you really ready to move? You know, you got coaches out there that's still trainees. You got entrepreneurs out there that's going to be entrepreneur. You know, so these are big $25 words, and people are impressed by that. And so what we have to do is really figure out what our it is.
So let's talk about it. It, whatever it is, what is it? What is it anyway, Miss April?
It is a poem that I wrote because I was just sitting there thinking about what is it that moves me, that grooves me, that entices me, that excites me. Whatever it is, I want you to hold it and mold it and love it and anoint it, speak on it, fondle it, and freak it. Even sometimes, RJ, you're going to have to tweak it. Move it, groove it, sell it, loan it, store-bought, or organically grow it. You might have to go outside and smoke a cigarette on it. But you need to pay attention. I need y'all to stay on it and pray on it, overstand it, understand it, command it, and straight out chant it. Chant it, chant it, demand it. Learn how to use it. Push it, pull it like your brain. Continuously move it. Feed it, knead it, prove it before you lose it. And good Lord, be careful when you choose it. When you choose it, what you going to do with it, RJ? How you going to use it? Like it, love it, hurt it, or try to shoot it? Where you going to wear it? You going to be sharp in black and white? How you going to feed it? You going to tease it? You going to please it? You're going to have to school it, mess around and lose it, because there's going to be some yahoo that's going to ride up behind you and try to screw it. But please, don't abuse it. When will you need it? I like to see it. Thank you for giving me a minute to let me be it. Can your it walk? Can your it talk? Can your it submit, and do some grown folk business with you? Just a little bit? Or you got one of them its that keep talking that old? But now that you got it, audience, brains, I want you to know that there ain't no stopping it. And I expect to see you dropping it and rocking it, getting up and down on top of it, driving in and around the block with it. I want to see you dance with it, romance with it, shout, scream, holler at it, hitting it, licking it, tickling it, kissing it, through the podcast. Yes, Lord. Are y'all feeling it? I want you loving every single minute of it because I'm watching. I need you to be grateful, and I need you to be thankful for whatever your it is. I think that explained it.
Girl, that's it.
Yeah, it was inspired by a lot of things because I was really thinking about, what is it that really, what causes people to move? What invokes movement? What invokes movement? My mother is 88 years old. She can't stand change. Girl, I move her medicine container from one side to the other, and all fury breaks loose. But that's what we have to do. We have to be able to change. We have to be able to change our mind and feel comfortable with that decision, to be able to face fear, sit with it, nurture it, love on it for a minute, understand why it showed up, and embrace it, and then take it to the next level, whatever that it might be, job, relationship, and be careful on that happiness because, happiness is just another high. Always chasing it. What's going to make me happy? Is it going to be a car? Is it going to be a man? Is it going to be a new pair of shoes? And then after that has worn off, you've got to elevate it to the next level. What we need to really do is to learn to be content, just to be in that space. Like they say, in the moment. Live in the present because it is a gift. But all that trying to get to the next level and trying to hurry up, everything is going to happen at its appointed time. Oh, believe and trust. You can't dodge the bullet. No matter what you do, you can't dodge it. And so, again, I want you, and I keep referring back to the words of your show, courage. It takes courage to do this. But that's not one of those big $25 words. That's a nice, easy $5 word that you can cash in on. Everybody's got courage. You just have to trust yourself enough to do it. Get off drugs, get out of a bad relationship, quit your job, start a new job, your kids, dealing with your kids, losing weight. Something happened to me over this past weekend that really, set a fire under me. And I have never been on a diet. I'm going to be on a live it. But I hope you're on this journey with me, my sister. I want you to see this. You're about to see a transformation. I have never had a few words spoken to me that has invoked such a change and has ignited everything I do, everything I say. And this person just really poured into me. So I'm about to get on this journey. I get my head around everything else, podcasts, books, encouraging people, all that kind of stuff. But I need to pour into myself. I really need to value myself, honor myself, and show up, raise my hand and say, here, I'm in attendance. I'm in attendance with myself. And that's what I encourage everybody to do, is be in attendance with yourself. If nobody else is in the room, you're not alone because you're there with yourself, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is time that we show up. The world is waiting for our greatness, and it's time. Whew. Okay, I could hold you forever. I want to thank God. I want to thank your mama, and I want to thank your stepdad for pouring into you. And we can't forget Mr.
Magnificent. He got something to do with it too. I've been married to him for 34 years, and I adore that dude.
34 years. Thank you both for your example of love and marriage while everyone else is quitting. Thank you for being the example of what you committed to do and showing the world what love looks like. Thank you. Congratulations. 34.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
34 more.
It's not, it hasn't been difficult. He's really made this a beautiful ride. But, again, it ain't for chumps. You got to know when to hold and when to fold. Sometimes you just got to go on and shut your mouth and just suck it up And then other times you got to show up. But, you know, you show up with respect, mutual respect. You're not talking to another kid. You're talking to another adult. You know, you can't control a person because that other person has to be an individual contributor in the relationship. If they're not, then it's one-sided, and it ain't going to work that way. And another thing, you got to love that person enough to let them go. You have to love yourself more than you love the other person because situations change all the time. Even I have this in the forefront of my mind after being married 34 years, that I love him enough that in the event that anything will ever happen after I fall all out in front of the car and beg him not to go, but if he just really wanted to go, I lay all out in the street, girl. But in my heart, I love him enough that I want his supreme happiness. That's when you're wearing your big girl panties. When you embrace a person enough to say, you know what, I've looked at it, and this is not where you want to be. And if you're not 100% committed to this relationship, it's not going to work because then I'm giving $125, $150, and you giving $50 or $75. It's not going to work. So, again, love that person to leave honorably with integrity and to be able to co-parent if there's children that are involved, if there's the dog involved, you know, to be able to still love on that person, see them on the street, wave at them, wish the best for them, and keep on going. It reduces so much stress in your life. People bring on that stress in their life, that negative self-talk. And I've been focusing a lot on that on my podcast with a lot of neuro-linguistic programmers. The show that you were talking about previously, I'm working now with an ego coach. Ego has always been presented to us as a negative. Oh, you're on an ego trip. You know, look at how big his ego is. But what this woman, Brigitte Grenstrom from Sweden, is teaching me and a couple of my former guests that I selected to participate in this program is how to learn to love your ego, to position it, to nurture it. When you suppress certain things in your ego is crying, and then it explodes like a volcano. So it could be greed, it could be arrogance, it could be power, it could be control. All of those things are very, very valid because the soul works independently of the ego, and it needs the ego to drive it. That's all I'm going to tell y'all. I want y'all to go back and listen to the show. It's called Ego Trip. It is amazing. I had an aha moment. Girl, I don't cry on my show. I had an Oprah moment. And this woman is unbelievable, and she has really taught me how to embrace a whole nother side of myself. But, again, position it strategically. You just don't go off and just, you know, all parts of your ego need to show up at all times, but you really need to nurture that. And that's a part of having courage, too, to be able to feel the fear and do it anyway, right?
Do it anyway. Do it anyway.
Anyway.
Do it. Here's what I want you to do, because we want to share with the audience how to listen to your broadcast. How can we connect?
Well, you can catch me all over the planet. You can just Google April Mahoney, and I'll show up on Google, but I'm also on Twitter and Instagram under April's on the Edge. I'm on Blog Talk Radio at www.blogtalkradio.com/April Mahoney. The name of the show is On the Edge with April Mahoney. That's because that is a place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. I'm always looking for great, engaging conversations, people that want to share their truth. They want to promote their product, their book, or their service. That is definitely the platform to do that. I'm looking forward to having you on the podcast. I do things called podcast potlucks. That's a new division of my show, and I'm going to be bringing in 3 or 4 different podcasters with different perspectives talking about their show and what they promote and what they do, because, like I said, it's not cookie-cutter radio. It is a vibe. It is an energy. It's a synergy that people are looking for when they tune on to you. They're looking for your consistency. They're looking for R.J. Jackson and what is going to be up next on The Courage Giver. They're looking for that. They're seeking out that courage. So we're going to be hosting those type of deals. We do a lot of philanthropic work. I've been very fortunate that I had, some situations where some people were homeless. And some of my big brains, because I got big money brains that listen to my show, they called me on the phone and said, hey, let me connect with them. Don't tell them where it's coming from. Let me be a blessing. And I'm talking about a nice blessing. One woman was able to move into an apartment, a furnished apartment, okay? So that is my joy. That is what I use my powers for, good and not evil. And I want people to connect with me and share with me their stories, their truths, and some laughter, okay? Everything's not all serious. I want to hear some laughter. I want to hear some music. I want to hear, some jokes, some recipes, all of that kind of stuff on the edge.
And we want you to connect with April on the edge. And I promise you, just like today, you'll be glad that you did. You'll go back for more to fill your cup with the courage that she has to help you succeed. April, I can't thank you enough. And I promise you, I am overwhelmed in the best way possible with all of the wisdom, the influence, the words of courage and inspiration that you've shared. I'm ready to take action right now, and I'm sure those who are listening are ready too. Give us, if you will, some words to take with us as we go to be all that we were created to be.
Today used to be your tomorrow, and tomorrow will become your yesterday. So stand in your presence, be bold, feel the fear, and do it anyway. That's all.
Thank you for your words, April. They're life-giving. Thanks for being here with us today on Conversations on Courage. We look forward to staying connected.
Thank you for having me. Bye, brains.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you, April. Your words have been life-giving. I have enjoyed sitting at the table with you. Whew, girl, I'm full. I am full. That's been one of the most delicious meals I've eaten at the table here at Conversations on Courage. That's one of those meals that you can't just go lay down and go to sleep on. No. That was one of those meals, April, that gets you going. It gives you the energy you need to succeed. So thank you for allowing us to sit at your feet and join you at the table today. And thank you, too, for being a part of our journey and allowing us to be a part of your journey. Listen, we're nothing without you. We need you to survive. So thanks for hanging out with us and sitting at the table and getting full with us. Now, listen, it's time to go and do something about what you've learned today. Go put it into action. Use your courage because the world awaits your greatness. I want to invite you to join us again next week at the same time as we bring to you more authentic, down-to-earth conversations on courage. I'm your host, R.J. Jackson, the Courage Giver, reminding you to keep up your courage and stay blessed indeed.
Thank you for joining us for Conversations on Courage. Now that you've been inspired, informed, and encouraged, it's time for you to take action. So head on over to thecouragegiver.com. That's thecouragegiver.com and connect with RJ for a personal conversation on courage. She's waiting to help you take the risk you need to succeed.